trauma basically is this. It's not that you face a problem. It's that you face a problem without the resources to handle it. And because of that, you do not have the tools to handle that problem. So fear takes over that you are going to get hurt or killed. And that kicks in survival mode, which is fight, flight. And if you're too little to fight back or too little to flee, you freeze, you shut down.
My childhood was really confusing. It was very unpredictable all the time. It was kind of like walking on eggshells every day.
I felt uneasy. I didn't feel safe. I'm like, who is this new guy around the house, you know? And it was very uncomfortable.
I couldn't live anymore. And it was either that or I was gonna die or I was gonna get better.
When we talk about trauma, there's two types, and they go by simple and complex. And simple doesn't mean it's no big deal. Simple means one-time event. A rape, a burglary, a car accident, that then gets diagnosed with PTSD. One-time event trauma. Complex is in connection to simple. And what it means is more than one. So it is saying a person's in an environment where they're constantly feeling danger. So there's 4 basic environments that create complex trauma. The obvious one is an environment of abuse. Physical abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, and even spiritual abuse.
I was bullied very badly. It started in grade 4, all the way through to my high school years. Got to the point where I wasn't allowed to go, stay home sick anymore, because I would pretend to be sick or I'd make myself sick just so I wouldn't have to go to school. I would self-harm for sure in order just to feel better. Like, kids they're not fun to be around when they don't like you, especially when you don't know why.
The next one is abandonment. So that can be actual physical abandonment where a child is put into CFS care. That's a huge one, again, within Manitoba. Or what's been fascinating to me is that a child is put up for adoption. And I don't have any statistics on this, but from my observations over the last 15 years, I would guess that probably about 50% of children who are adopted become addicts. And part of the reason for that is that even if they go to a wonderful home, something deep inside of them, usually when they get to their teens, go, why didn't my biological parents want me? And it's partly in their mind, it must be that I'm not good enough.
Like, I just remember growing up just wishing that my dad was there, and he never was. And that was hard for me.
When my mom left my dad, in those really formative years that they say are what shape a child for their adult life, I grew up in total dysfunction. It was chaos. My life was chaos. And I didn't have any means of processing that.
What I'm noticing in the last 2 years is there's a bunch of research beginning to happen around the effect of divorce on children. And that is becoming a bigger and bigger player as far as creating complex trauma, feeling abandoned by one or more of the parents. Another part of abandonment would be a parent who is in addiction themselves. So basically, they are not there for the children, and the children pick up on that, and they feel abandonment.
I remember growing up, like, wishing that my dad was in my life, you know, because, like, I had a stepdad, but I didn't really, like, click with him. And when it came down to, like, having heart-to-hearts with somebody or telling somebody about, like, how I'm feeling and stuff, it was just mostly my mom or nobody at all. I would just keep it in myself.
Third category is neglect. And what I mean by this is a family that meets all the physical needs of a child but doesn't meet the emotional needs of a child.
I have an older sister, an older brother, and a little brother. And I don't know, like it was like I just felt like I didn't really like matter as much as they did.
Understanding now, I mean, like they bought me their love. My dad was never there for me because he was always working.
There's some parts of my family that obviously were a little bit, I guess, not normal. My dad, he's a wonderful man, don't get me wrong, but he's very cold. He doesn't know how to love. Like, he's not the hugging kind of person. So that as a child is hard not to have that. My mom tried to do everything that she could, but she has her own issues as well.
The fourth one goes a little bit more defined, and we're going to look at 12 basic needs that we all have. And if any one of those needs is not consistently met, the child feels unsafe.